So now our first item on the agenda is to call upon a great friend of ours. He's also a member of Veterans for Peace. He's a Lakota Sioux. His name is Strong Buffalo, also known as Tom LeBlanc. And he's performed here at several of our Peacestock events. And he always has great inspiration and poetry and music. So I'm going to call upon Strong Buffalo.
Well, good afternoon. Little clarification, I am a Dakota, which is from the east. Just dialect. L is from the west. Red Wing was a Dakota chief, by the way. We have a meeting in Prairie Island. We'll be leaving off to. We're going to have a meeting at the Bark Lodge that was built in Prairie Island. It's our summer lodges, and there hasn't been one since about 160 years. We're kind of proud of that. I am a proud member of Chapter 27, Veterans for Peace. 1984, I went down in behalf of Veterans for Peace on a mission to Nicaragua to release Mosquito Indians from prison. So I've been involved with that. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran, Vietnam, decorated and wounded. My first operation was in Hue City, was on 7 operations there. Upon leaving there, I was denied promotions and awards because I began to speak out against the war. We had to change in the war while I was there. Nixon was the president then, and they did a Vietnamization program where we went from offensive to defensive maneuvers. And I could not participate in starving people, and spoke out against it, and was told I wouldn't get promotions, I wouldn't get my awards, and I just kind of went internally believing, why can someone speak about what they feel is right and start being denied? I am what we call a Yaska, which is a mixed blood Dakota. My mother is a Dakota assisted in South Dakota. My father is unknown on my birth certificate, but talking to my family, it's assumed that he was American Japanese that was with 442, stationed out at Fort Snelling in West, and he was a married, so my mother didn't tell him of my birth, and I was taken away from my mother because she was 19, was at that time a minor, and she was sterilized at that time also. So I believe, and I tell everyone, that I was made out of love. And these are supposed to be enemies of each other, and they made me. I didn't know who I was or what I was as I grew up here in Minnesota. They wouldn't tell me what nationality I was. They weren't going to tell me until after I was 21 years old. I hounded a counselor. I went to boarding school in Nebraska, and a counselor finally told me that my mother was Dakota. I ran away from that boarding school. At 16, I had been in 105 different social placements. and I was kind of going crazy. I tried to find my mother, to no avail. I stole the car. I got in trouble for that. I ran away to Chicago. I lived down there on an alias and on the run. I came back after I was 18 and found out that because I hadn't gotten in any trouble, they dropped the charges on me. I have to thank the Attorney General at that time was Walter Mondale for speaking up for me. And appreciated that. He wouldn't send me down to Nebraska. But you know, when I came back from Vietnam, I found my family. I came out of the Greyhound bus depot. I had plenty of money, but I was reluctant to meet my family. I didn't know who they were or why I was never with them. And I was reluctant to meet them. But you know, in those days when we were coming out, you got kind of like discount free travel if you were a veteran. So Greyhound gave me a discount. I was on the bus from Camp Lejeune to here, Minneapolis, and I was still in my uniform. And I went by where I used to work. I worked at a restaurant in downtown Minneapolis called the Hungry Eye. So I went by there to check it out, old Greasy Spoon place. There's a dishwasher there. And as I was going by, I ran into an Indian woman. She hollered out, "Hey, Jarhead, are you an Indian?" And I had just found out a few months earlier from writing BIA that I was legitimately one and enrolled. And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, you should be in here." She called me in to meet. She said, "There's like 10,000 Indians in here." It was kind of American Indian education meeting. I went in there and she said, "I'm gonna buy you a drink for surviving the war." I said, "Well, thank you." You know, I was a whiskey drinking guy in those days. And when I was in there, they started talking, all these Indians in this little bar. We need to teach our language. We need to teach our culture. They're denying us. They got us down in the basement. No one's coming down there. No one's listening to us. Let's just take over the stage, they said. Let's just take the microphone out of their hands and take it over. And everyone, they said, "What do you think? What do you think?" I went around the circle and finally came to me and I said, yeah, I'm with you guys. Yeah. And we went up and we took over the microphone, took over the stage. They started talking. I said, "Well, these guys make sense." And I realized later, all those guys in that room were like Clyde Belcourt, Dennis Banks, Russell Means, Mary Jane Wilson, Francis Fairbanks, Rita Rogers, all the founders of AIM. And I just happened upon them. So I started joining them, and from there I went into the International Indian Treaty Council. I worked over there in the Bay Area for human rights. And from that I went to work. Indigenous people around the world came up to me and asked me if I would help them affected by the nuclear struggle. So we formed an organization called Indigenous Uranium Forum, and our motto was "Leave uranium in the ground." It was the best policy that we could think of, because once you break it out of its rock, poison is emanated, and it's no way you can undo it. And so I went around the world helping, bringing that out. And we ended up in 1990 in Salzburg at a place called the World Uranium Hearing. I was the indigenous coordinator and brought in over 100 indigenous people from around the world to testify and to bring that about. I traveled the world as an activist. People believed that I was paid high money and had an office and expense, but I was more or less homeless, without salary. I just survived on my poetry, which, you know, doesn't bring one much money. But I worked in behalf of that. I went to Switzerland, and when I went into Switzerland, the Swiss police stopped me at the airport, and they said, you have to go to the police to register. I said, what? You have to go to the police, they said, to register. And when I read the thing they had on me, they were saying I wasn't supposed to speak against any Swiss national organization or any corporation in Switzerland, or I'd be immediately deported and stopped. And I said, well, okay. And I went to University of Bern, where I was a speaker, and I sat there, and a reporter came up, started talking to the translator with me, and said, have you read this press release, Mr. LeBlanc? I said, what? Press release? I said, what's it about? They said, you. I said, me? I said, how long is it? They said, 12 pages. I said, about me? You know? I said, well, translate it for me, please. So I began to say things like, don't listen to this guy. He's a nobody from nothing. We checked with the BIA. They don't know him. He's got no degree. He doesn't know anything about nuclear stuff or physics or anything. Don't listen to him. He's just a troublemaker. We don't know who he is and where he's from, and don't pay no attention to him. And he kept going on, and I just had kind of prepared kind of a generic speech. And I just went bananas, you know. I was just thinking, wow. And I looked at the date of that press release, and it was a month before I came. I went like, wait a second, you know. If I'm a nobody from nothing, and I don't know nothing, and nobody should listen to me, why do you write 12 pages about me and send it around and make me sign some kind of waiver where you're going to deport me? So I began to tell him the truth. I said, you turn on that switch and you kill an Indian. You make a nuclear bomb and you're jeopardizing the future of our children and our grandchildren. I said, what's going on? I said, you guys think you're so smart. You guys, you of war and of these corporations, and you can't even clean up your waste. You smart guys. Tell me that. Do that first. Clean up your waste. And they couldn't answer me. I went to the Tokyo Electric Company in the mid-'80s. And I asked them, I said, hey, what are you going to, this nuclear stuff, we got to stop it, because Japan is very nuclear pro, even though they got bombed on by it. And the Tokyo Electric Company, there was 3 of them executives speaking, and he said, I guarantee you this will never have any kind of problem. Now we all know that was an outright lie. And so I sit there today, now, talking to you, and making you as one person to another. We have to make some changes in this world. We can't depend upon any government, any politician, any corporation, anybody else. It has to be us. It has to come from the people. We have to begin to make these changes in this world, or there's going to be no changes. It has to come from us. That's why I'm a part of this organization, because I believe in what we're standing for. The few people who are standing up for peace. I wrote a couple poems that I'll close with. I wrote this one, it's called Agent Orange, White, and Blue. While the enemy was digging hidden underground caves to hide from the United States' systematic chemical war to force the guerrilla out, the smart men of war forgot or intentionally allowed their own sons, to stand naked above, breathing the aged brother's stench. I am now the son of Dioxin, and you shall see me, Uncle Sam, digging out of hidden underground caves, looking for you. I also wrote this one called Peace Prayer, because, I'm not always that angry. But Agent Orange is something that we all need to realize what they did to us. I can remember standing there covered with the white powder of it. I remember looking over and seeing countrysides totally bare 1 week later. No leaves on the trees, no grass, nothing. Dead from the herbicide that we were doing, just so we could see the enemy. Oh, Grandfather God, pity us. Lean to hear our feeble voices for all those seeking peace, surrounded by war and hate's violence. We arise in the east, standing up, seeking a new day of hope. We walk to the south, where life comes from, bringing a warm rain to wash away the evil from those of violence. We go to the west, the gateway to the other side, seeking guidance and wisdom for this lonely journey we find ourselves on. We go to the north, where the cold wind helps us to endure all the pain and suffering of this life. And then we go to the center of the circle and we reach down and we caress our Mother Earth, who loves each and every one of her children. And we look up and we look all around and we thank you, Creator, for this wonderful life that you've given to us all. And we see the sun, something so beautiful and so important. You must have made, you must visit, or you're there. So we place our prayers of peace up there so you can hear them. And we hear you when you tell us peace is stronger than war. Yes, peace is stronger than war. And peace must be taught. And peace must be shared. And peace must become the law for us all. Thank you very much, and I hope that we continue to stay strong in what we're doing, because peace is one of the most noble things that we can do. And if we can heal ourselves, there's a chance that we can heal this world. And if we can heal this world, maybe we can save it. So thank you, brothers and sisters.
Wow, strong Buffalo, thank you. That's so inspirational, and learning a lot more about your story. And we here will never silence you, so we're going to be calling upon you again. Thanks again.